I'm gonna only show up on birthdays and holidays. Maybe. Definitely gonna make promises I cannot keep. Definitely gonna tell you I'm gonna be around more, but psych. Probably gonna forget your birthday. Shit, I might even forget how old you are, but I'm your dad, so yeah.
Fathers who abandon their child are bad enough, let alone abandoning your own child to go be the best stepdad to someone else's child. Now that's crazy.
If the father of your children actually told the truth.
Yes, my girlfriend is more important than my kids. No, that's not the reason I don't pay child support. It's because I'd rather get drunk and buy new cars. Playing the victim is easier than owning up to responsibilities because I'd rather lie and tell people that you're keeping my kids from me because it makes me look better and makes you look worse. Taking you to court has nothing to do with the kids. I barely want to see them as it is. It's about winning and making you look as bad as possible. Yes, I'm a narcissist. I work under the table to hide my income. Listen to me. My kids are on the bottom of my priority list. Do you hear me? I'll never grow up. Manipulating and gaslighting is what I'm good at. Of course I'm a deadbeat. I am the lowest of the low, and you deserve so much better. Because I'm a lazy fuck. Yes, I have 5 main enablers that help me make you look bad and me good. Because I'm a little bitch. Yeah, I want to sleep with my mom. So?
Alright, there's gonna be like 3 or 4 parts to this, but first part, I'm talking about how absent fathers affect young black men, because that's something we don't really talk about like that. Now, when you're a kid, kids, you don't really understand life like that. It's more like you just look at the positive aspect. Even though your pops might not be around, you still positive. Like, man, I hope he come for my birthday, or I hope he come pick me up from school. Like, you a lot more hopeful, you know what I'm saying? But it don't really affect you as much until you get a little older. I remember growing up, and it depends on what type of mama you got. If you got a bitter mama that's letting you know grown folk business, then you might have a different outlook. My mama was more like, she ain't gonna badmouth this dude in front of the kids, because when we get older, we're gonna know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't even know growing up that I had an absent father for real. Like, he'd come pick us up from school sometime, or he'd come over, but I didn't realize, like, dang, everything I got, my mama paying for this. Or dang, he didn't even get us no school clothes. Or these toys I'm playing with, dang, mom did that. You don't really understand that stuff till you get, you know what I'm saying, a little bit older. We're going to that on part 2. Part 2 on absent fathers. Now, this is where the resentment start to kick in. And I think back on our childhood, like, dang, we did have behavior problems, because almost everybody on our street, we all had single mothers, except for like our homies across the street. They had a mom and a dad. And coincidentally, they ain't even really get in trouble like that. Not saying you ain't gonna get in no trouble if you got your pops around, but you less likely. But us, we fighting at school. We in the street fighting and arguing a lot. Had fun too, but it was because we didn't have that guidance. And they pops, he noticed that, and he would always give us wisdom and insight. Because when you young and you in our areas, we look up to the dope boys and the OGs, and that's how young dudes end up gangbanging, because you just want to feel accepted by something, man. The big homies, that's who you want to impress these people, and you want to be a part of something. It makes sense though, because who else you gonna look up to? Like, of course you got your mother, but your mother can only do so much. She do the best she can, but when it comes to the becoming the man part, you got to figure that out. If your pops ain't teaching you, you gonna learn somewhere, and it's usually out in the streets. And we gonna move to the adult part on part 3. Part 3 on absent father. Sorry, I've been at work all day. But you come to a point once you become a man, you're going to be angry at some point. I know I was. Once I figured out what this world was really about and I was becoming a young man, it's like, dang, my pops couldn't sit me down and teach me nothing about this stuff. We basically thrown out here. As black men, we set up to fail anyway. And it's a man's job to teach you how to guide and how to survive through life. So once I understood that, and it's like some other OG I ain't even kin to was teaching me how to be a man, and my pops couldn't do that, and I felt some type of way, and I had a lot of anger and resentment towards him. But then I got to the point where the healing come in. You can understand something but not agree at the same time, and that's what I had to come to terms with once I got a little older. This was like a few years ago. Maybe some people just don't want to be good people. Some people don't want to be good fathers. You can understand that that's what it is, but you don't have to necessarily agree, because I still feel like you bogus if you own that. But I understand, but everybody is not courageous. Everybody can't take on their problems head on. Most people, they run from their problems, and that's what an absent father is. They not able to take something head on. They get scared and they run. The bigger scale though, look at your purpose in life. I'll speak for me, for example. If I had a dad that was a good father and he had some business about himself, I probably wouldn't work is hard, because I know if things go wrong, I just ask my dad for some money, but I ain't got that. So I'm gonna strive hard to be who I want to be in life. I wouldn't have the wisdom I got because I was forced to be like, all right, I need to figure this out, how I can be a good leader on my own. Let me read these books and let me study this. And that's what made me who I am. So I'm thankful that I had my situation that I had growing up, because it made me me.
5 signs that you might be dealing with daddy issues that you weren't even aware that you had. You attract emotionally unavailable men because that was your first experience with a man in your childhood, and now it manifests in your adulthood. You're an extremely high achiever because you don't think you can trust anyone to do it, so you just rather do it yourself and you have a hard time delegating. Or deep down you don't think you're enough, so you're trying to prove to the world that you are enough. Binge eating, because it's all about trying to fill an emotional void that you have, which typically originates from your childhood, and so you're doing your best to fill it with food. And from the emotionally unavailable men that you do attract, you have to financially support them, which causes you to emasculate them from the deep subconscious emotion of anger that you already hold towards men, which causes them to leave and go find another feminine woman, which reaffirms your unhealthy relationship with men that you had in the first place. So do any of these sound like you? And if so, which one? Leave it in the comments.
Here are some issues that may trigger you if you've had or have a absent father. If you have had a absent father in your childhood, there are certain things and roles that you take on, and a lot of what I say next will make a lot of sense. Women who have had a absent father in their childhood become overachievers. They become obsessed with trying to prove that they are worth it. And because they become obsessed with proving themselves, they consistently self-sabotage themselves, and nothing is ever enough. Diminish their success in their achievement. Love being independent, and you may want to assert your dominance in that relationship. The next one hurts. My love, you have a fear of abandonment, and it's the fear that you quite can't seem to shake off. It is, or maybe, always at the back of your head during a relationship. Emotional numbness, because you have a fear that if you are too vulnerable and show them the real you, you may not be accepted. And you have an issue holding and setting boundaries. And this is all because of the people who were trying or supposed to treat you that way or teach you these lessons didn't. So you created these traits to protect yourself. Let me tell you, I triggered myself during this video, and this video was really difficult to make because every single one of these hit me first. Always trying to prove yourself, always trying to prove that you're worth it, helping others, setting boundaries, all these are really difficult things to do. And depending on the relationship and the figure or the circumstance of the relationship would depend on how you act or react. But that's not to say that these traits cannot also be used. Women who have absent fathers are highly successful because they're consistent wanting to prove themselves is not an answer for them. They will always keep pushing and striving to become a better person and do more than what people expect of them. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you're following me for more.
Understand this. It is my job to be a mother, but it is not my job to make sure you are a father to your kids. That is your duty and your responsibility. My duty as a mother, the only duty I have is to protect and provide for my child. But if I have to protect my child from an inconsistent father like yourself, all means I will.
Let's look at women with daddy issues and the behavioural traits behind it. Okay, here's a little girl and here's her dad. And it's a difficult relationship with her father. Her past relationship with her father has been difficult because he might be absent, abusive, emotionally unavailable, or have addictions. And because of those learned behaviours and past trauma, that's going in to the little girl and it's creating a wound inside. That's what we call the father wound. And she now has a resentment and distrust around men. She's grown up, but she has this resentment, distrust around men because of her father wound. She may also have a fear of commitment and be unavailable herself. And because of this wound, she is now accepting in unavailable men or damaged men or abusive men or even older men, you know, kind of like the sugar daddy thing, or older men. And because of this wound, she's repeating these patterns over and over in her relationships. Okay, so if you feel that you had a difficult relationship with your father, then you can do this. Number one, it's really important to heal the past resentment and pain towards your dad and any exes. See, your father has his learned behaviours and his own trauma, and he's limited. And that resentment, as much as it might be valid, it's also good to release that and let go of that. And any exes that you've, been in relationships with that have also perhaps hurt you in these ways. So healing any resentment, you can do that with a therapist or a good kind of trauma facilitator. Second, identify and change any behavioural patterns, i.e. you're open to mistreatment, you're open to unavailable men. Identify these patterns and look to change them. Third, increase your self-love and boundaries. Increasing your self-love and boundaries means that you're going to say no to any of this stuff. And fourth, look to create healthier beliefs around men and relationships. There's some wonderful, consistent, loving, integrous men out there, and you can find one of them. So look to create healthier beliefs around men. Okay? Hope this video helps, and check out my self-study courses in the bio. Take care now.
It may be easier for you to just avoid the fact that your father was emotionally or physically absent in your life and just telling yourself that you're okay. But the thing is, the more we do that, the more it's going to show up in our life in other ways, whether it's attracting emotionally unavailable partners, lashing out with anger on a partner, the relationship that we have with ourselves will be more disconnected, and even the ones that we have with others, because we're not authentically being honest with the pain that is still residing within us. And when we can then address that pain, that is when we are able to set ourselves free.
These are the signs of a deadbeat dad. When he get mad at you, he stop taking care of the kids. He think that it gonna hurt your feelings because he stopped buying Pampers. He stopped buying clothes and shoes. You a mama, you already gonna do that. So him not doing it, make him look bad and not you. Number two, he get mad when another man taking care of his kids. If you ain't doing nothing for your kids, what you think the kids gonna do, sit there and not have a father figure? She want a real man that can step up to the plate. And don't get mad because you looking crazy in the face because another man doing what you can't do. Number three, he started taking care of another woman's kids. Then he tell that woman, she won't let me see my kids. You ain't telling that woman, just because she can't get none, you don't want to do nothing for the kids. Make you look bad in front of the other woman like he a good man knowing he ain't. He a runner, he a track star just like his daddy. Whatever his daddy did, he doing. Look at his daddy. His dad ain't there, that's the answer.
I don't know what single mother needs to hear this today, but you have every right to be upset. You have every right to be bitter because that man that you call your child's father left you with all the responsibility while he plays the victim as if he cannot see his kids, while he claims that he is there for his child, but leaves you with all the responsibility mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. While he gets to think he can come in and out of his child's life as if that's not damaging to the child, as if that's not damaging to you. You get no breaks. You don't really take care of yourself because you have no time to take care of yourself. It's not normal to feel like going to the bathroom is a break. It's not normal to feel like taking a shower is a break. It's not normal to go outside and think that's a break for 5 seconds. That's not a break. And for you no good deadbeat bums out there who think it's okay to leave a woman with all the responsibility, if you don't want to be a dad, allow people around you to know that you are also not being a father instead of manipulating the people around you.
I'm going to put you onto 3 journaling prompts to help you with your absent father healing. Let's go. Number 1, how are you subconsciously trying to earn your dad's love? We're going in at the deep end. Okay, number 2. How do you try and find your father's love in the relationships that you're in? And by that, I mean your romantic relationships. And lastly, how do you blame yourself for the lack of your father's love? I can't lie, those were pretty deep. So make sure you dedicate some time and space to hold your feelings and really write them down. But I promise you, this will help you get into that trauma. I'll put them in the comments below as well. Let me know how you get on. Okay, so I actually, as a woman with raging daddy issues who was going to start dating, I have backtracked a bit. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain my approach to dating now. So I just find that it's really easy for us as women with absent fathers or daddy issues, trauma, whatever you want to call it. We settle for the breadcrumbs that guys give us, okay? And dating in this day and age, not for the faint-hearted, I think. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, I easily get carried away if I was to date someone, and I get delusional and romanticize things, and I don't see things clearly, right? And I'm lowering my levels and lowering my standards because of the romanticized version of that person I've put in my head. So this is going to be my approach instead. I'm literally going to focus on myself, focus on my dreams, focus on my goals, all of that, okay?
And I'm going to be putting a lot of love into myself, you know, just living my life how I want to live it. I'm not going to be going out of my way to like settle for breadcrumbs, but I'm going to remain open to love. And what I mean by that is if I see someone and I find them attractive, I'm like, hey, they're cool, I will act upon it. I'm not going to let my avoidant self or the fear of intimacy that I have or the fear of abandonment control me. I'm going to act upon it, okay? So I'm going to remain open that way. But I think a lot of us, we have to stay consistent with the standards and levels that we're setting for ourselves, because we are so easily get carried away with the validation that men give us and the attention that men give us, and it's easy to kind of lose yourself. And I think that the healthiest thing personally for me to do right now is just remain focused on myself. So yeah, that is my approach to dating. Please let me know if you think this makes sense, because you know what, you might be thinking, Chloe, you're just running away, or this doesn't make sense. So please let me know. I'll keep you updated if anything actually happens. But yeah, that's my approach to dating as a woman with raging dad issues.
If there is one thing that I have learned in my 25 years of being on this earth, it is to never beg anybody to be in your life. I spent probably the better part of 20 years begging my father to be in my life, and it wasn't until about a year ago when I decided just to stop, because there's no point. He has 2 other kids. If he really wanted to be in my life, he'd make the effort. And you know, I'm worth more than, you know, just a text once a month. Hey, how are you? Just so you know, I love you and nothing is ever your fault, and whatever happened in the past, like, let's just get over it. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. No.
When God says forgive your abuser, when God says forgive your manipulator, when God says forgive the absent parent, you are not letting them off the hook. You are getting off the hook, because the devil is using an old season to rob you of a new season.